Fast forward, any come our channel so AG Politics Avenue. On your podcast, I was training because make headlines. And a jamre na EDB Exum, our any day young Braxium, and ED Kanya. The best I say with me subscribe to the channel. Am na young co in Sim, and Attorney General. It's me a government accountability series. Na Ken offer it at the ding ampem on your Yasam. Papanum Edanen say, set Yakofano Abamonani, I did pa na with me afa lawyers. Unia top notch lawyers are omuwo eye UX just omu tia eye ni extradition process na unia asemono enya asem koto akra na at this point in time ensemble emo enwura eye accountability series ni na intie ensem ahodo a eye attorney general itimi edigu ho edemai.
He will not be treated unfairly. He will go through due process and be prosecuted just like any other person, just like Kobina Edubohi or Hanan or any of the persons that I have filed charges against. Now, Hanan, you asked you asked two questions. The first one is about how soon. I just wrote how soon, but I think I have forgotten precisely the question that you asked. Okay, yeah, so I have answered that aspect. Now, you also talked about some contradictions arising out of the court proceedings. I have stayed away, and deliberately and ethically so, from commenting on the pending proceedings. My approach or strategy is always to inform the Ghanaian public, my fellow citizens, of what I have found in the investigations. I have never pronounced anyone guilty prior to filing charges. All right? And despite what anyone says, all right, I am not going to stop accounting to the people prior to filing charges. That, for me, is the best way to tell the people the steps you've taken, the results you've obtained, all right, before you go and file charges. So I'm not going to abandon that strategy. And I can tell you from where I sit, there was no contradiction. Okay? Whatever happens, $7 million were transferred. Nobody is fighting. Nobody is saying that $7 million were not transferred. All right? From the public BNC into the private BNC. $7 million. The evidence is solid. The day my investigator takes the stand, you will see from his witness statement the documentary evidence, including bank transfer, advice. Okay? Advice slips that show that $7 million was transferred. Counsel for Edubohi, the Honorable Atachia, spent a lot of time cross-examining on the exchange rate. And that is where this whole issue about whether it was 7 million, it was 49 million, or it was, whatever. $7 million were transferred. All right? So the exchange rate for me is of no moment as far as my case is concerned. And ladies and gentlemen, take it from me. Even if I succeed in proving that one cedi, okay, Hanan, listen to me. You ask the question. Even if I succeed in proving that one cedi of public money was stolen, I have made my case. So this whole debate about how much was transferred or not is of no moment to me. From a purely criminal law point of view, it is of no moment to me. All right? The judge is not going to strike my case, throw my case out because I have not proven that exactly 49 million was stolen. Once I can prove that even one cedi was stolen, all right, he's guilty of stealing. All right? And for those of you in the media, I keep saying that ask the critical questions. If you have the access to the witness statements which we have filed, all right, ask yourself, okay, in March 2020, 16 million Ghana cedis was put into fixed deposit accounts in Kobna Edubohi's name. Was that public expenditure of the money? I leave that question to you because I know everyone is watching. including the judge. I'm not going to comment on the matter in an adverse way. But I just want to ask the critical questions, because what the strategy that Kwabena Edubonhi and his acolytes in the social media and mainstream media have engaged in is to continuously misreport. At some point in time, I thought of bringing applications for contempt because they are undermining the very administration of justice. Have you ever seen or heard my deputy, the Honorable Justice Srimsai, commenting on the case after court? I have given him strict instructions. We don't do that. All right? We are the leaders of the bar. We must go by the ethical traditions of the bar. You don't comment on a case in a manner that adversely, affects the case that is being made in court. But this is what they have been doing. So they get bloggers, they pay everyone to be saying things that are not. So, for instance, if you say, the evidence is now coming out that Ghana must go bags of money were being transferred, it's normal at the national security. For God's sake, I didn't say, if you look at my case, I never said that Kwabena Edubonhi stole money in Ghana must go bags. Have I made that case? So what is the relevance of the Ghana must go bags argument? All right, I leave it to you, to your judgment. But if you look at my case, there were bank transfers. And I also have evidence of how the money was spent. Okay? How the money was spent. From March 2020 to August 2020, he had finished spending the $7 million. Whether you are whatever exchange rate of exchange you are using, the money was finished. And I have all the bank details, including transfers of 200,000, 100,000, who took it and what. I have all of that. All right? So please, the media, ask the critical questions of them. Because I have briefed you, I have briefed Ghanaians, I have made my case, to the Ghanaian people. All right? Nothing has contradicted the evidence that I have presented. And mind you, there is no way that I, given my years of professional experience, will come and tell the Ghanaian people one thing when I do not have the evidence to prove it in court. All right? So you watch the space. When my investigator takes the stand, you will understand very well the case that we've made in court. And from all the cross-examination, I don't see anything that is relevant or damaging to the case that I have made in court. Are there any more questions? Okay.
Yeah. Maxwell Ababa, Joy FM. Joy FM Joy News here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've been talking about the extradition. We've been seeing a lot of extradition of our nationals to other countries to face justice. But we've also seen the repatriation of nationals from neighboring countries, some of them engaged in cyber crime, some of them engaged in romance fraud and all of that. Sometime in April, the Interior Minister actually said that we are not interested in prosecuting our neighbors who come in and then engage in cyber, crime and then romance fraud. I have the specific quote there. He said sometime in April 2025, Daily Graphic actually published that. I don't have my phone here. I would have pulled out the exact quote. So I want to find out from you, are we going to continue repatriating persons engaged in romance fraud, those who come from neighboring countries? Are we going to continue repatriating them, or we would prosecute them? I'm asking this because I think on Sunday, the Cybersecurity Authority made a major, arrest somewhere around Kaswa. Are we going to prosecute those people, or, repatriate them? Because it will be counterproductive if we repatriate them. Some of them will just jump on the next available bus and then come back to Ghana. My second question has to do with the Cybersecurity Amendment Bill 2025. I know your office contributes actually in the drafting of bills, and you have legal oversights in that area. many have raised concerns that aspects of that bill criminalizes free speech. They say that it also duplicates functions that other state institutions are already providing. President Mahama, I remember the GJ Awards stated that he has listened, he's heard the concerns of civil society organizations, and something is going to be done about that particular bill. I want to find out from you, have these concerns reached your desk, and what changes are we likely to see to that bill? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So your first question relates to repatriation and prosecution. Well, I don't remember precisely what the Honorable Minister for the Interior said with respect to whether we will repatriate those who have engaged in romance scam or will prosecute them here in Ghana. But granted that he said he will rather repatriate them to their countries of origin rather than prosecute them, all right? You always have a choice. And in the case of romance scam in particular, the victims may not be Ghanaians. All right? The crime would have taken place within the territory of Ghana. In other words, within the jurisdiction of Ghana, meaning that Ghana has, authority or the power to prosecute the persons involved in that crime. All right? But it is also the case that the country of the victims will also have the power to prosecute. All right? The choice that you have to make is whether you want to expend resources prosecuting them or you want to repatriate them. And if you are repatriating them, you have to give reasons to the country. Say, let's say that they are Nigerians. We don't just repatriate by taking them to the Nigerian border and letting them, get off the plane or the bus, and that is the end of the story. Okay? We hand them over with documentation to the Nigerian authorities. And they can then decide that they are going to take action, to prosecute them. Okay, so when it comes to romance scam, it is a complex story. So for instance, in the case of those that, we are faced with now, with Abu Trika being the latest one, all right, most of the victims are Americans, all right. In his case, the story is that the romance scam led to elderly Americans losing as much as 8 million United States of American dollars. And that is why the extradition request was made. All right. Now, we didn't investigate the crime itself. Okay. We didn't know or had no basis to suspect that he was engaged in those criminal activities. Of course, sometimes if you take the lifestyle, you do a simple lifestyle audit, it can come up that this person must be getting illicit proceeds. That is why the person is living lavishly. All right. But that wasn't done. We didn't do the investigation. We didn't build a docket. So we cannot purport to just all of a sudden receive a docket from the United States of America requesting for extradition. Then we say, okay, you know what? We will retain the person here, take your evidence, and then, go to court. In fact, the courts will even fight us if we adopt that kind of approach. Okay, so it's a complex governmental decision to take. I know some of those people are fellow citizens who are engaged in the romance scam, and there is a school of thought that says that we should be lenient with them, but all crime is crime, and we need to hold everyone accountable who has engaged in criminal, conduct. And this is the way to go. Now, with respect to the cybersecurity bill, I must say that, yes, my office is in charge of drafting, but we take instructions or drafting instructions from the ministries, departments, and agencies that want to change the status concerning or affecting their sectors or their agencies. All right? It is not every bill that I have the opportunity of reading from cover to cover before signing. If it is an amendment, I will read the proposed amendments and then authorize the Legislative Drafting Division to send it to Cabinet. Now, it is not, we can always advise an agency that a proposed amendment offends the Constitution, say the human rights provisions of the Constitution in Chapter 5, including the right to freedom, of speech. All right, but where it is debatable, we defer to the ministry that is bringing the proposed amendment. So in this particular case, the bill has been laid. The bill is now the property of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Civil society organizations and individuals have made the case that certain aspects of the bill offend the Constitution, particularly the provisions relating to freedom of speech. I believe that Parliament will listen. I believe that there will be proposed amendments by committee members and by during the plenary, the consideration stage of the plenary, amendments will be proposed. And I believe that ultimately, okay, some of the deleterious provisions that have been complained about will be refashioned in a way that will conform to the Constitution. If I have the opportunity to re-examine the bill, and also if, even if it is passed, all right, I can tell the president not to sign it if I am convinced that the bill offends the Constitution and laws, existing laws of this country.
Good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Romeo Tete, and I report for Akuffo FM. AG, please, I want to know what will distinguish your tenure from that of your predecessors in terms of justice delivery and the rule of law. And secondly, at the end of your tenure, what single reform will you want Ghanaians to remember you for? Thank you.
Well, okay.
A quick update. I wanted to find out if there is any update on ex-Maslok CEO, Sedinam Tamaklo, who was sentenced and is receiving treatment abroad. Anything we can get. Thank you.
Okay.
AG, I'm back again.
Yes,
AG,
you are welcome.
You responded, even though I don't have an opinion on it, but I think that I still disagree with you. But I'll move on to my next question, which still has to do with the Ken Oforiatta issue. There's a whole issue surrounding the OSP handling the prosecution or the case involving the former finance minister. And some have argued that, including civil society, that this case be handled by your office. As you have submitted a formal extradition request to the U.S. authorities, is it the case that you will consider handling this case from the office of the special prosecutor? Thank you.
Yes. Right. So the first twin questions related to my tenure as Attorney General. I think it's too early, for me to... I am consumed with work, consumed in making sure that the promises made by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in our NDC manifesto, especially in relation to oral, all right, are carried out. I want the president to stand tall and be justified for what he said to Ghanaians to get elected. So I don't even think about what Ghanaians will say is my best legacy, right? I work and I want to leave the work to speak for itself. I do my best and I leave the rest to God. So I'm not someone who is thinking about legacy. But if there's one thing that I individually championed and which the party itself took up very strongly, and Mr. President took it up very strongly, is professional legal education reform. And I think I've had the occasion to tell the media that I drafted a bill in opposition, optimistically waiting for His Excellency to come to power for us to implement the reforms. I have laid a bill in Parliament. We just had a meeting with the General Legal Counsel where I did a presentation of the new reforms that are contemplated by the bill. I think it is one thing that is going to transform professional legal education in Ghana. And if it is successful, maybe in future, I will look back and say, this was a good thing that I did. And Ghanaians will look back and say, it was a good thing that I did. But other than that, I don't work and think about whether I'm going to. I just do my work as best as I can and ethically as possible. And then I leave the rest to be judged by the people of this country. Now, the other thing is about, the other question relates to the Maslock CU, the former Maslock CU. I had to answer questions in Parliament in relation to her, and that is in relation to her extradition. And I did indicate to Parliament that in July of 2024, the formal request for her extradition was put in by my predecessor, right? In other words, it was put in by my office. Now, the American authorities have, worked on it. Okay, they've worked on the extradition procedure.
We ain't some who team course or channel so. Mamma so Jemre or the Senes or body and Eddie Adumbi Edumini. Unia, if a sample room, not a summon, a question of aha, a GH politics of it.